Hello, welcome to Business 240 Word Processing 1. This is Brother Rasmussen. This is a week 1 video where I'm going to go over the first two assignments that you have, the cover letter and the dot leader tab assignments. So let's go ahead and start with that one, the cover letter assignment. You have an example there in the instructions, and you can type it just like that, and you will do just fine. Now it encourages you to either do it this way or use some creativity and submit one that you may use to respond to an actual job announcement or something. There are a few things you can do to be more creative. Keep in mind though that this is a professional letter, so the fonts are somewhat limited. You wouldn't use pretty non-standard fonts. You know, Times New Roman's pretty standard. Cambria, um, Calibri, the default ones that you see in Word. Be very careful that you're not using things that look more like scrapbook fonts that look really cool and really interesting, but they're not professional. So keep this professional. Um, you can also on this you have a few elements that you need to include. You've got your address at the top. That can be aligned left or right. Then you have the date, which everything from there down should be probably aligned left. And then you have the address for the person you're writing the letter to, the person or group. And then you have the salutation or the greeting for that person, and then the body, and then a closing. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that. There are a few things in this assignment that I want to show you that are going to be important throughout the course. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by typing just my name and just an address. Now, for me personally, I like to spell things out when I'm doing a cover letter, especially for a job application. I don't want to abbreviate things, but that's my personal preference. And I want to have the right zip code. Whoops. But I don't know what the right zip code is for Rexburg. So that's what it looks like. Now there's something I don't like about that, and it doesn't look like the example, and that is there's extra space between the lines. You may know why that's happening, but I can tell you. So there are these things called styles that Word uses, whether you intend to use them or not. So up here in this, we're in the Home tab. We've got a group here called Styles. You notice that this one, the normal style, is highlighted. That's the one that's being used by default. And you also notice over on the instructions that the first thing it says to do before you type anything in this document is to select the no spacing. Actually, it says single spacing, but you want to select the no spacing style. That's this one right here. But watch what happens when I do this. Nothing. Now, if I hit enter, it does do something. It gives me no spacing between the lines. So if I want that to apply throughout the document, there's a few ways you can do that. One is you can hit that no spacing style before you ever start the document. Two, you can select the things that you want to apply it to. So I can select this and hit no spacing, and then it removes it. And then if you notice, when I hit enter from there, because I selected everything in the document, it still has the no spacing style active. So a few lines down, I want to type in the date. Today, for me, is June 4th. Notice there's this insert date shortcut here. I can hit enter and it's going to insert that date. And then I want a few more lines and I want to enter the, whoops. Okay, you get the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and type the rest of this. Then I'll show you a couple more things. Go through the instructions and make sure you have those. I'll be right back. All right, so here it is completed. There are a few things you can do to make this a little nicer. In fact, one of the things they did on this is they bolded the name of the individual. You can do a little more than that. I wouldn't flash it up too much it depends on the job, really, I guess. For most of the jobs I've applied to, I wouldn't make it real flashy. So again, make sure you're using the styles. One of the things I can do, I can tell a couple ways, whether or not you use styles. When I'm, whoops, I don't want to do that. When I'm in the document, anywhere in the document on this particular assignment, I should see this. Okay, and if you haven't done this at the beginning and you type the whole thing, you don't have to start over. You can select the entire document. Here's a quick way to do that. Come over here into the left margin. You see your mouse turn in, or your cursor turn into a kind of a backwards mouse arrow. Triple click. I can't remember if that works on the Mac or not, but triple click selects everything in the document, and then come up here and select no spacing. Now it took away the bold because part of that style is it's not just the spacing, it includes the other options like bold as well. So as you look through the instructions on this assignment, you've got the selecting the single spacing style, changing the font to Times New Roman 12. I haven't done that yet. So same thing, I can come here, select the entire thing, come up here, select Times New Roman. Whoops, I guess I have to actually select it, which is down here, and it says 12. Okay, that is one of the very common business fonts, although I don't really care for it myself, but it is pretty common. Then type the letter as shown. Now, you don't have to be exact. You'll see the word exact. You don't see it here, but you'll see it in some other assignments throughout the semester, unless they've changed it in the instructions. I'm not looking for that kind of precision. You know, you're not going to be able to guess the exact spacing. You're not going to be able to guess the font in some cases. Do your best. For this one, yeah, use the text that's here. It's probably the easiest way to go. And then add the current date, and that's something we did here. There's something that you can do to make sure that's the current date when you're typing a document, and so when you print it or save it as a PDF or whatever, you come here to the Insert tab. Over here in the text group, you've got this date and time option, so I can choose the date in the format that I prefer, and then make sure this box is checked so that when I'm save this document and then I open it again later, it's going to update the current date if I have this checked. Okay, so there it is. I want to give that a little bit more space, and then save your document with the name in the file. Go ahead and do that. I probably will take off points these first few assignments, although it's not a big deal for me because when I download them, the way that I download them, I'm going to see your names because the system puts your name in there. But follow the directions or you're going to lose points. So name it the way that it shows there, and then submit it. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to pause this and get ready for the next assignment, and be right back. All right, so I have here a very, very simple document that has some features that's going to make creating dot leader tabs, kind of demonstrate it for you so that you can know how to do it. I didn't recreate this document that you have in the assignment in the exact same way, but you get the idea. So when you do it, it says to recreate a simplified version of your sacrament meeting program. So that example is a simplified version. If you don't have a copy of the one that you had, you can copy this one for all I care. Just make sure you're doing the work. The point of this is, after all, to learn how to use these tools, not to learn how to copy other work and templates. We're not going to use templates in this class, so just forewarning, don't use templates on any of the assignments that we do. So this is a single page, 8.5 by 11, I think A4 document. We're not going to fold it in half or anything. We're going to do it portrait mode like this. So your instructions are to include the church name. So you got up here, you got the ward, you need the title, sacrament meeting, and you need the date. I don't have any of that, but that's okay. You can put that in yours. Use styles for the titles and subtitles. So it says to use heading 1, heading 2, etc. Well, for ADA compliance, you're supposed to use heading 1 only once in a document. And that's the main title, like for a document or book or whatever. So everything after that, if it has a heading, should have heading 2. And let me explain what I'm talking about. It's going back to our styles. So if you go through a book that has chapters, You've got a title on the cover, and then you see a title page inside. Those would be heading 1. That's this right here. Then your chapters would be heading 2. And then if you expand that, you have a few more styles. This one doesn't have a heading 3, but you can create one. So we won't go over that today, but we'll go over that down the road. So if you had subsections within a chapter, that would be heading 3. Follow? If you don't understand that, I'm going to have office hours. Using these headings in this way is really important. So when it says use styles for the titles and subtitles, use them this way. Use heading 1 one time for the document title. Use heading 2 for major subheadings or chapters, if you will, if you have chapters in your document. And then heading 3 and so on. You can go to heading 4, 5, 6. This particular style set doesn't have them. We'll look at some other style sets and we will look at how to create your own style down the road. But for this assignment, you're only going to need heading 1 and heading 2. So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would be heading 1. So let's say, I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Okay, so I want this line to be heading 1. So I can do it like this. I just selected it. I guess I want that to be like so. And I can come up here and hit 1. So now that's heading 1, and you can see it's right there. So if I put my cursor in here, I can see it's heading 1. All right, so let's say this is our subheading. Well, there I'd want heading 2. I don't have to select the whole thing for these heading styles. I can just put my cursor in there, and I can just select that style, and it's going to make that whole paragraph. I'll explain that in just a second. That whole paragraph is going to be heading 2. So what Word thinks of as a paragraph is everything between hard returns. And one way to know what a hard return is you come up here to this backwards P. I can't remember the name of it. It's a Roman character. Click that and you can see these formatting characters to indicate what's going on in the document. So every time you see a backwards P, that's the end of a paragraph. All of these single lines are paragraphs. That's how Word sees it. Oftentimes you'll have a little paragraph with 2 or 3, 4 or 5 sentences and then a return. So what I'm saying is if you put your cursor in there, you hit a heading 1 or heading 2, the whole paragraph will turn into that heading style, or yes. Okay. All right. Use a right-aligned dot leader tab. All right, so I've prepped these with tabs, and you can tell when I have this on. Notice when I have it off, some things disappear. When I have it on, you've got this little arrow character. So there's a way that I'm going to be able to tell if you use dot leader tabs, and I'm going to show you that after I've done it. But a way I can also tell you didn't is you'll have alignment issues usually on the right side. The lines don't quite line up right. With a dot leader tab, they all do, at least when they're done correctly. So let's say I want to I put a tab on each of these. So I'm going to highlight all of these lines where I want dot leader tabs. I could also create these at the beginning, but I'm going to just do this here, select the text that I want to be affected, and I'm going to come up here to the paragraph group, hit this little arrow with the box to expand this dialog box right here. I'm going to come down to tabs, and then I've got this dialog is where I'm going to create them. So I want the right side of this text to line up right here at the 6.5. Okay, that's the far right edge of my to the margin. So I'm going to say 6.5. And then I'm going to come here, the alignment, I want it to be right aligned, which means everything on the right edge will be aligned, not the left, like the default. And then I have the leader. Default, is none. I want the dots. Okay, this is what you have to do for your assignment. You can click Set. It pops up in this little window down here, and you say OK, and bam. Just like magic, it shows up. And this is how I can tell that you use dot leader tabs. One is you get this nice alignment on the right. Two, I'm going to have this little guy turned on when I'm looking at your document, and I'm going to see these arrows in the middle of your dots. If I don't see that, there's something wrong, and then I'll try selecting. And if I can select these dots, like just a few of them, you use dots to align your tabs or to align your words, and that you're going to lose all the credit available for dot leader tabs because you didn't do them. Okay, very easy to do, very cool. Really, I think it's really neat to be able to do that in a document. Just it's almost like magic. Um, Make sure you include the elements that it says to include: presiding, conducting, opening, closing hymn, etc. I did a baptism program. um, and then poor quality work. Yep, I will reduce your score. Save the document as a doc. And that's generally going to be true for every document you submit. All of them are going to be DOC or DOCX. I need to be able to open it in Word to be able to see the formatting that you've done. If I can't see the formatting you've done, you're going to lose points, perhaps a lot of points, because I can't see whether or not you did it. I can't just look at it and assume. I need to see through. There's some other things that I can do, and you can do actually, that we'll talk about later, to see the formatting in your document, to see everything that you've done. I'm not going to go into that here, but I will down the road. Save it in the way that it says to, and then submit your document. And that's all there is to this assignment. Enjoy yourselves. Practice. I encourage practicing. For me, the dot leader tabs were life-changing, at least for some of the things, a lot of the things we do for church, things that we do for work. If you do any kind of research documents, these come in pretty handy. Of course, we'll get into some more handy things down the road that are even a bigger deal than dot leader tabs. But enjoy yourself, practice, ask questions, use the support forum, and don't forget that I have office hours scheduled for every Wednesday. I had to change it to 7:30 so that I can help you out. So with that, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time.